Hi everyone and welcome to the Tech Drawer. My name's Ethan, and in this video I'll be showing you how to take your setup up a notch, even if you're on a budget. Now, to give you a bit of background, I bought my first ever gaming device, which was a gaming laptop, about two and a half years ago now, and then I was able to upgrade to a better gaming PC. And over those past few years with my gaming PC, I've been finding small ways to spruce up the setup and really make it a more meaningful place. So, if you want to know what I've been learning about over these past few years, you've clicked on the right video. So, without further ado, let's get into it. First, let's start with what you can improve for free. First thing I do is start changing some settings. If you have an NVIDIA GPU, go to NVIDIA Control Panel, and if you don't have NVIDIA Control Panel, install it. And when you're in there, go to Manage 3D Settings and go to Low Latency Mode and set that to Ultra. And if you have G-Sync, make sure that's on. And if you have an AMD GPU, make sure FreeSync is set to on, because these things will help you to get lower latency, and if you have lower FPS, it'll help smooth it out a little. Now, another thing you can do is check your startup apps. As the name suggests, startup apps are apps that start up when your PC turns on. And the more of these you have, the slower your PC will boot, and the more clutter will be going on in the background, which could be potentially slowing down your PC's performance. So any of them you see there in Windows settings startup apps, make sure you turn those off that you don't need. And also, when it comes to things that you've downloaded or games or apps that you don't really need, just delete them. You don't need them there. They're taking up space, making clutter. Just delete them if you don't need them anymore. Now, another thing I do recommend changing is your taskbar. If you are in Windows 11, just right click on the taskbar, taskbar settings, taskbar behaviors, taskbar alignment, and then click center. In my opinion, being in the center just makes it a lot cleaner and more minimalistic. And to add to also, another thing I do is if you want a clear taskbar, which I think looks pretty cool, just go to the Microsoft Store and search up Transparent TB, install it, and make sure you set it as a startup app, because while yes, it may make your PC slower, it looks better in my opinion. So if you want to do that, I do recommend it. And finally, go to your desktop, right click and hover over View. And uncheck the show desktop icons if you want them invisible. Otherwise, right click and sort by to organize them neatly into rows. Now, this is something that I really recommend if you have a decent PC: Wallpaper Engine. On Steam, it's about $4 or whatever your local currency is. And for that, you get an app that can run thousands of different wallpapers from thousands of different creators. But not just that, some of the wallpapers are animated, or you can even interact with some of them. And it just really does add a lot of personalization, and it just adds a lot of flair to your desktop, considering it's somewhere that you interact with all the time.
I found this on the web.
Now, the next step is something that's fairly simple, but something that not very many people think about, and it's cleaning. I know there are people out there, and there are people watching this video, and their setup looks like this. And to that person, seriously, man? But I know all of us out there, including myself, often just let their setup go a little bit messy, and just clean it up. Your PC will thank you. And on the topic of cleaning, just dust out your PC or your laptop or any device really that has fans in it, because often if they're on the floor or even on your desk, dust will get into those fans and it could be hurting your performance, but it also just makes it look a bit dirty and grimy, and it just really doesn't add to the aesthetics of your gaming setup or your work setup. And here's something that I personally think adds so much to your setup. Just adding a bit of greenery. Whether it be real or fake, it adds so much to your setup. It just makes it feel a lot more natural. Now, I didn't have this until my mom added a few fake plants around my setup. Obviously nothing to do with the fact I can't keep real ones alive. But anyway, aside from that, really they do add so much to your setup, and this is why you see so many big YouTubers doing it. It really is a worthwhile upgrade. And if you have the budget for it, another thing that I think adds a lot is a monitor light bar. Now, I know to a lot of people this may seem silly, but not only does it help reduce eye strain, but it lights up your setup, and it really does give it a lot of warmth. And really, overall, it is such a welcome bit of kit in my setup that I think is actually so worth the money. Because for around 30 euros or so, you can pick up a fairly decent one. And honestly, it really is worth the upgrade. Now, this is something I really feel I should have done sooner. It's controller and headset stands. Now, I know a lot of people out there, including myself for a very long time, put their headset on their desk or their controllers on their desk, and really, it is such a pity because it makes such a mess, and they really do take up quite a bit of space after a while. But if you invest in some good controller stands or some good headset stands, there are plenty out there. It really does clean up your desk, and it helps to display your controllers or your headset, and it just looks really, really clean. Now, I bought a fairly cheap headset stand. It was about 10 euros. It clamps on the side of my desk, and that's where I put my headsets. And controller stands I just 3D printed too. But for my cousin, he has one controller, and I bought him a Cable Guys controller holder. And I know it's a bit on the expensive side, but for around 25 euro you can pick from loads of game or film characters, and there's a controller stand for them, and it's them holding up the controller. And in my opinion, it does look really, really cool, and it helps bring a bit of the games that you like to play into your gaming setup. And I do really think it's worthwhile if you have the money to spend. But otherwise, for about 10 euros, you can get a controller stand, and the same for a headset stand. So really, I do think it is worth it. Now, onto something that many people don't think about, and neither did I, but is something that is really handy, is if you bring your phone or your watch, if you have a smartwatch, or your earbuds, just having an all-in-one wireless charger on your desk. For me, often it's a great opportunity to put them all on charge at the same time while I'm gaming, because I'm not going to be using them while gaming, and it just makes a lot of sense to put them on charge. It looks really cool. It's a great hub, just instead of having loads and loads of cables on your desk to charge all your devices separately, you buy one of these and it's one cable and your wireless charging. And on top of that, it's really handy because it doubles as a phone stand, so you can see your messages that you need to see on your desk while your phone's charging, and you can still use your phone while it's charging if you need to, as opposed to having a cable dangling around. And it is something that can be very expensive if you wanted to. There's plenty of good ones from Anker out there. Generally tend to be around 70 to 100 euros. Like, they're great, but very, very, very expensive. Or what I bought was about 30 euros. There's plenty of them out there, and they're just great all-in-one chargers for my Apple Watch, my earbuds, and my phone. And it's just great because I can throw them all on charge without having to think about them and know that I'll have battery for the rest of the day. So considering most people have those devices at their setup, I definitely think it is one of the best upgrades you can make for your setup. Now, here is the final step. For me, this is something that I actually think is probably the most important step. And it's not something that many would kind of consider setup upgrade, but it really overall is. And it's peripherals. There are plenty of people I see out there, and I'm not judging, but if you play any games or even if you use a device for office work, really just taking the time to upgrade your peripherals is really worthwhile. And while there are plenty of high-end peripherals out there, there are really expensive mice, really expensive keyboards, really expensive monitors. There are plenty of good budget options out there. Now for me, there's great budget mice, and while you're probably thinking, oh no, they're like 50-60 euros, but no. The Pulsefire Haste I featured in one of my recent videos was around 19 euros on sale, which is so cheap considering you're getting plenty of high-end specs. It's super lightweight, super good sensor, and on top of that, there's plenty of good office mice that are really ergonomic and comfortable for cheap as well. Also, keyboards are going down. You can buy mechanical keyboards for around 30 euros, and there are plenty of good monitors on the second hand market that are 1440p, have good color accuracy, that you can get for around 40 euros. So really, you're not going to actually end up spending as much as you think on gaming monitor or just an office monitor or your peripherals. There's plenty of good budget options out there, and really I see so many people, as I said, who are using who have really cool controller stands, really cool high-end microphones and different things like that, but they're using really bad peripherals. So what's the point in it? You cannot enjoy that experience. It's just not going to be the fullest experience you can have. The peripherals are what you interact with when you play those games, and if you can just have something decent on a budget, it really is worth considering upgrading. Also, on the topic of upgrading, your PC, if you have a hard drive, really you should have an SSD. I know it's maybe obvious to a lot of you, but if you have a hard drive, I know they're great for mass storage, but SSDs are so much faster, and it really will improve your PC's loading times. Everything will just feel so much snappier, and SSDs are really cheap now. You can buy a terabyte SSD on Amazon now, a decent one for like 50 euros, and you get a terabyte of super quick storage. So your PC will thank you so much, and it'll just save you so much time as well. So really is one of the best upgrades you can make to your gaming setup. So there you go. There are the upgrades that I think are the most important when considering your setup and trying to make it really cool on a budget. Obviously this video did take a lot of time to make, so I really would appreciate it if you considered subscribing. It's my goal to hit 100 subscribers by the end of the year, and I think with your help we can definitely do that. So I'd really appreciate it if you took the time to subscribe and you liked the video, as it'll help recommend it to more people and grow the channel. Also, another thing that I want to say is all the products that were mentioned in this video, I'll try to link all of them below with Amazon affiliate links. Obviously I get a cut of the money from those links, so if you don't want to use them, you're more than welcome, but it just means that I get a portion of the money instead of Amazon. So really it makes no difference, same price for you, and I'd really appreciate that if you want to support me. But that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.